Pokemon Go has added Annihilape to the game, and this fighting ghost type Pokemon is absolutely absurd in PvP. A very strong Pokemon. Its data mine for the move pool was counter with the close combat, with the ice punch, and the night slash. So we were all kind of sitting, waiting, thinking that they were going to nerf Annihilape's move pool before adding it to the game. And there was a moveset change, actually. They added Shadow Ball to it. So instead of nerfing the move pool, they actually made it even better by adding Shadow Ball. And when it comes to all three leagues in PvP, Annihilape is going to be a good option for them. So if you want to evolve Primeape into Annihilape, what you gotta do is set the Primeape as your buddy and then beat 30 ghost or psychic type Pokemon in battle. So you could be fighting a friend, you could be fighting Blanche, you could be fighting in Go Battle League itself, and all you gotta do is beat 30 of those puppies, and then you can evolve into the Annihilape. And it doesn't appear to be like a limited time evolution. This seems to be a permanent addition to the game, so no FOMO here at all. Now, if you're checking your PvP IVs on all your Mankeys and you're realizing that all of your Annihilapes have like 1470 CP, nothing looking even close to good stats for your Annihilape, you know, who'd have that happening to them? Certainly not me. There is an event going on from the 19th to the 24th where Mankey will be spawning more in the wild. So got some opportunities there. And then also Gligar, Sableye, and Lickitung are going to be in the wild too. So good opportunity for XL candy for these two. And if you don't have a good Gligar yet, like myself, well, here we go. Gligar time, baby. So yeah, very, very nice event for PvP in general. Now, if you are curious about the raid potential of the Annihilape, I regret to inform you that Counter and Shadow Ball are great moves for raids. The other attacks it has, not so much, and Counter and Shadow Ball don't exactly have any synergy with each other, and Annihilape's attack stat isn't that big for raids to begin with. So yeah, overall, Annihilape ain't a good raid Pokemon. In this video, though, I will be talking about its power in the Great League, Ultra League, and Master League, and I'll talk a little bit about its PvP IVs in the Great League as well. So starting out in the Great League, Annihilape is somewhat comparable stat-wise to the Poliwrath. Poliwrath is going to be bulkier than the Annihilape. Annihilape, though, does have that big ol' Shadow Ball to work with, and a fantastic fighting ghost dual type. I'd say overall, Poliwrath is probably the more oppressive force in the current Great League and probably the current Ultra League as well, because Water is a fantastic defensive typing as well. It gets a little bit overlooked because it doesn't have like the big fighting and normal type resistance that Ghost does, but Water is a very handy defensive and offensive type. And then the Scald and Icy Wind give it that you know, annoying debuffer role on top of being a powerful counter user. So yeah, I'd say as a best fighting type, Poliwrath is probably still on top. But yeah, Annihilape, though, I mean, it's got big attack stat, it's got the ghost resistance going on, and it's got Ice Punch, Shadow Ball, close combat, and even Night Slash to work with. So a lot of variety going on for the Annihilape. Definitely has a really big mystery box factor when it hits the scene, because you don't know which charge move of all the you know, 4 viable charge move options it has that it's going to be packing. So it could get some shields and it could get some big nukes off on the opponent. So yeah, Annihilape, really good for that. When it comes to the Ultra League, we're going to have pretty much the same situation. Not as bulky as the Poliwrath, not as annoying or oppressive as the Poliwrath, but definitely has its advantages with the Shadow Ball and Ghost typing going on for it. And then another thing to highlight too is that Annihilape is probably going to be like sub level 30, where Poliwrath is a borderline XL Pokemon. So if you are looking at powering up a new fighter for the Ultra League on a budget, Annihilape is going to be a powerful, cheap option as well. And then finally, in the Master League, I don't have a lot of Master League experience personally. I haven't participated in the Master League in years. Actual years have gone by since I've done a Master League battle. And so I'm not the person to tell you about big Master League meta, but I do remember back in the day, Conkeldurr was a pretty potent option in the Master League. Not the best option around, but still a strong one nonetheless. It was a counter user, so it could, you know, punish that Dialga a bit. And it didn't have Brutal Swing at the time. It only had the Stone Edge, and that's all it really needed to have some good neutral coverage there, right? The Annihilape has more bulk than the Conkeldurr does, has a better defensive type, having that ghost type for those resistances, and then also has like Shadow Ball, close combat. Close combat's kind of whatever in the grand scheme of things, but it has Shadow Ball and Ice Punch to work with to, fight against the flying and ghost type Pokemon that are in that meta. I don't think Annihilape's going to be a huge addition to the Master League, but it is a Pokemon that you're going to be aware of and prepared for when you go into Master League battles, because it will show up, and it does do an interesting job a little bit differently than other Pokemon that are similar to it. So keep your eyes peeled for the Annihilape, and if you are looking at doing something new in the Master League, Annihilape could be a fun Pokemon to try out. Now, if you want some PvP IV tips for Annihilape in the Great League, I am working on the Annihilape PvP IV deep dive right now. I don't know how long it's going to take for me to finish it and get it fully published, but in the meantime, I can give you some light tips to get your feet wet with the Annihilape. So, in general, you want to have a higher attack weight than the rank 1, unless you have the rank 1 and you want to enjoy that bigger bulk. The reason why is that all the Annihilape mirrors, in the Great League at least, pretty much end on charge move priority. And a lot of the like Ice Punch, landed, Shadow Ball blocked kind of mirror matchups, those will also still most likely play out with charge move priority. There are some edge cases where certain HP thresholds can come into play for the Ice Punch specific mirrors, but overall, try to have a little bit of an attack weight on your Annihilape if the mirror means anything to you. When it comes to the bulk side of things, if you have greater than 106 defense stat, I think you could get away with having roughly 136 and 138 HP. I'm still ironing out the details on the HP side of the big defense side of things, but the benefit to having that bigger defense is that you can get a defense breakpoint on Superior, helping out in the 1-1, the Trevenant, which helps out in the 2-1 shield scenario, and you could also get a defense breakpoint against Altaria, which makes some of the Ice Punch win conditions for Altaria a lot easier to meet, especially in uneven situations like Annihilape taking some damage because it finished something off, and then Altaria comes in and you're trying to kill the Altaria in time. Taking one less damage per Dragon Breath is always helpful. In a straight situation, it can help you out in the 2-2 shield situation. Now, if you don't quite have 106 defense, then you're probably going to want to have closer to 140, if not greater than 140 HP, to make a lot of your matchups feel more consistent. For a bare minimum defense, I really wouldn't want to go lower than 102.51. That's for a 98.5 attack weighted Lickitung, which is generally the range of my recommendations for an attack weighted Lickitung for my Lickitung PvP IV deep dive. Link above and description if you haven't checked that out yet. For an example IV for that, that'd be 10, 14, 13, right? So there are higher attack weighted Lickitung out there. So while 102.51 is like a comprehensive minimum, you're probably going to want to have a little bit more defense than that to be fortified against the Lickitung. Also, having at least 102.5 defense can make you a lot more fortified against high attack weighted Sableye that are trying to get charge move priority on specific Pokemon, such as our Lord and Savior King Axon, reigning champion of Pokemon Go. And if you're looking at the rank 1 Annihilape and you're going, Ryan Swag, that thing has the big HP and the big defense, higher attack weights, are there breakpoints? Yeah, this is where it gets kind of complicated. I really like 124.4 as an attack weighted option if you have that available in something that meets these defense and HP stipulations, right? Because with that attack weight, you could get a breakpoint on Clodsire, you can get a breakpoint on Shadow Frostlass, and you can get a post Icy Wind debuff attack breakpoint on Shadow Poliwrath, which can clean up some matchup situations against that. You can get charge move priority on Dragonair. You can get a breakpoint on Cresselia. Like, there's a lot of cool benefits to having like greater than 124 attack. But to get that greater than 124 attack and meet the defense and HP checkoffs there, that's where it gets to be a little bit tight. So good luck with that. Hopefully when I finish crunching all these numbers and I'm able to create the Annihilape PvP IV deep dive, I'll have some more specific and comprehensive options to give you. But for the time being, just check your stats on like pvpivs.com or on PvPoke itself. And if you notice that you're kind of falling in that range or close to it, then your Annihilape is probably a good one. At any rate, that's all I gotta say about Annihilape right now. If you got any questions on this content, of course, comment below, let me know what's up, and I'll be happy to help you out. And if you enjoyed this kind of content, you want to see more like it, well, make sure to subscribe to SwagTips. SwagTips. I'd also like to give a special shout out to these Patreon supporters. If you want to support Swagman on Patreon, link in the description. If you want a lore drop on the Annihilape is apparently like a Primeape that got so mad that its heart stopped beating and it died, but it was so angry, so vengeful, that its spirit lived on and brought it back to life, which is why it's a fighting ghost type Pokemon. Why is Annihilape getting added to the game now? It probably heard Dan Ottawa talking smack about Dedenne, and not only can I not stand that, but Primeape and now Annihilape can't stand it either. And guess who's coming for you, Dan? I don't know if I'm going to be going to Canada again anytime soon, but this guy, worldwide, watch out.